Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Power. I am your girl, Christal Jordan, and I am excited about today's show because we have not been here in a while. But I know this show is important. Hey, Colton. Hey, everybody joining, because this show is about adding a little context to those pop culture stories that we see happening on reality TV. And as a features editor for Collider, it is my pleasure to bring a little bit of content from the show, from the shows that we all love to watch, from the perspective of a writer who is writing about these shows. Now, before I get into everything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's show, which is Seuss Us. They are a Black-owned handbag line, and you can actually get 20% off of your purchase, which is great right before Christmas. If you want a great handbag, they have the fanny packs, they have the full-out bags, they have all different types of styles. I have a floral print that's on the way. I also have a beautiful black and white snakeskin bag, but you can get 20% off by using the promo code Christal20. So make sure that you go over to SeussUs.com and get your Christmas list in, right? So go ahead and get your Christmas orders in. I think bags are a great gift for girlfriends. Bags are great gifts for girls to give each other. So it gives a little extra pop to any outfit that you have. And what better way to actually spend money for a quality bag than actually buying from a Black-owned business, Black-owned female owned business. So with that being said, please go over and visit them. But let's get into today's conversation. Now, these articles that I'm going to be talking about are all on Collider.com. I write for Lennox and Parker as well. You guys know I'm editor-in-chief over there. I also am an editor for Rolling Out. But with Collider, I get a chance to really tap into my reality TV, bad girl, I guess. I think reality TV is a guilty pleasure for most of us. I try to keep things positive, but sometimes we just got to call a spade a spade. And that's what today's conversation is all about. It is about what is going on reality TV and calling spades like they are, right? So let's get into the first one now. The first show I'm going to talk about is Basketball Wives because first of all, I only have one article this week on Basketball Wives because there's really not much tea there. I did do an interview with Vanessa Ryder, and if you have not seen that, you can go back in the channel and pull up that article. Vanessa was new to Basketball Wives this season, and she is married to a former pretty big basketball player. So they had asked her to be on the show for several years, and she turned it down. She got on the show this year because she thought that the show was going to be different. Of course, that is the lie they used to reel everybody in, of course. And when she got there, there was the same bickering and arguing with the other wives that we've known Basketball Wives to be branded for, right? I think Basketball Wives from its inception years ago, I believe 2000, maybe like 2013. It was a while ago, at least 10 years ago, is the first time we saw Basketball Wives. And from the beginning, the show has always been a lot of fighting with the cast, with the young ladies, which is weird because I think people tuned in because these women are supposed to lead like these privileged lives. Like, they love to throw their labels around. They love to throw the fact that they have access to all these parties and to the Hollywood lifestyle, but yet they're fighting just like, girls over on the Bad Girls Club, which is very strange. But this season, to me, there really hasn't been much to tune into. But I do think that Evelyn and Jennifer had a history of being like the bad girls that are friends, the mean girls that are friends. And so this article I wrote for Collider says Basketball Wives, Evelyn Lozada and Jennifer Williams are the same mean girl duo from 2010. So that means that the show actually started in 2010. Evelyn Lozada claims to have matured and want unity, but snatching Clayana Wortham's wig in defense of her bestie Jennifer Williams proves otherwise. Yes. Okay. So I don't know who watches Basketball Wives. You guys can let me know in the comments, or if you're watching this later, you can definitely let me know what you think. But on one of the last episodes, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, they get into a fight again in Arizona, and Clayana, gets, I guess, aggressive in her interactions with Jennifer. And as a result of that, Evelyn comes along and snatches her wig and then puts it on her face, takes pictures and is clowning. And it just feels not like the behavior of a 40-something-year-old woman. Hey, Toya. Hey, Keisha and Love. It feels very like the Evelyn that would run across the table and call people a non-MF factor, right? Which, that made the show popular. People love the fact that a very pretty girl was mean and would be willing to fight. I like the fact that Evelyn didn't actually throw a punch, but snatching somebody's wig and then wearing it and bragging and laughing about it, it's just very lowbrow. It's very lowbrow. And she said that she did this in defense of Jennifer, right? Because she said Jennifer's not going to do anything about it. First of all, I think Jennifer is able to take care of herself. But secondly, Jennifer and Clayana had gotten into it prior to this episode. It's just over. Like, people constantly getting together, people that don't like each other, knowing that there's potentially going to be a fight or there's going to be bad energy. I think that Basketball Wives needs to close its doors, at least in LA. I wrote another article a couple of weeks ago about the fact that I think, the creator of Basketball Wives was Shawnee O'Neal, who at the time was married to Shaq. Shawnee is no longer married to Shaq. Not only is she no longer married to Shaq, she is no longer married to a basketball player. Shawnee is now the wife of a pastor. So I think when the creator is no longer connecting and relevant to the genre, it just kind of feels like this show has, it's just not relevant in 2023 the way it was in 2010. 2010, we weren't immersed and ingratiated in so many people's lives the way we are now. We have Basketball Wives that are making TikToks showing their interactions and what they do to get ready, all their designer clothes and their beautiful homes. And we have all of that. Like, there really is just no need for Basketball Wives, in my opinion. Evelyn is not with the basketball player either. She actually dumped the guy that she was paired up with on Queen's Court. Jennifer is also not with the basketball player. She is with an investor guy. I'm not really sure what he does. Investor scammer, something like that. I'm not sure, but in any case, it's not basketball. It's not basketball. So really, what this is, the stars of Basketball Wives are not associated, not acclimated at all with basketball. Is kind of strange, and it's screaming that this needs to be over. So that's my take on it. I do think that Evelyn snatching Clayana's wig was ridiculous, but I think the show needs to stop. The one in Orlando may be a little bit better because the girls are younger and actually with players. But the stars of LA are left over from the days of Shawnee, and Shawnee herself has segued out of basketball, and maybe she could do like a show about like first ladies or something, because she's now a first lady. So anyway, moving on from Basketball Wives, because it's not one of my favorite shows. I just think that the drama is so ridiculous that I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. So we're going to move on to Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, a couple of seasons ago, I told you guys that Real Housewives of Potomac had become my favorite Housewives franchise because it was just ridiculous. First of all, you have the ladies in Potomac are a lot more. I'm a sucker for someone that's a charm and etiquette that presents themselves like a lady. I'm into that, and I feel like the ladies in Potomac present a lot more that way than some of the other seasons, with the exception of Mia. Okay, Mia, Mia definitely needs to take a charm and etiquette class, but with the exception of Mia, I mean, we have like Candace, who is a former beauty queen. We have, Ashley, who is also a former beauty queen. Giselle, who feels like today she is a beauty queen. The Grand Dame, who to me, feels like the essence of propriety. I like the vibe of those ladies a lot better because I feel like, they at least try to present. You don't see a lot of just, well, with the exception of Monique Samuels and Candace a few seasons ago. But it's a little bit more sophisticated, which I prefer. But it also is just as messy. So I can't give these ladies a pass. Wendy, I actually like Wendy a lot because Wendy is very educated, very beautiful, obviously very accomplished. But Wendy likes to neglect her accomplishments and get messy as well. Um, so anyway, all that to say, Potomac is one of my favorites, but I got to tell you guys, there is trouble. There is trouble in Potomac this season. This season is definitely not as exciting as seasons past. And we're going to start with Ashley, right? So Ashley Darby's storyline falls flat on Real Housewives of Potomac without Michael. Ashley's peaceful divorce has her scrambling for a storyline. Her attempt to malign NECA against Wendy is a desperate play at relevancy. Girl, girl, Ashley is as cute as a button. But really, like, what are we doing? What are we doing this season? We see Ashley come in. It's clear that Ashley likes to show off her beauty. She knows that that's her leading card. Now that she and Michael they're not divorced, they're separated, supposedly working on a divorce. But I'm just here to say, I don't believe that Ashley wants to totally sever her relationship with Michael because Michael equals money. Michael equals the money. So I think that Ashley is saying that she wants to be divorced from Michael because Michael is trifling. Michael is sexually a sexual deviant. I can call him that. He's a sexual deviant. He has embarrassed her. They have these two little boys. But sexual deviancy be damned, he still is the connection to the money. And Ashley was bred to snag a man that has the money. So I don't think that she really wants the divorce to be finalized. But without this divorce finalized, there's no push and pull anymore because Michael's not trying to get her back. He's gone on about his way. He's probably, doing his sexual deviancy thing. But Ashley really doesn't have a purpose on the show aside from to show her, breast job. Really, there's nothing left for her to do. So we see her trying to start trouble, which she doesn't do very well, because she's not really able to play the messy card like some of the other girls. Like she's no Mia. She's no Mia, right? Um, she could tell Mia how to be a better gold digger, but she's not really Mia in terms of being messy. So if you guys are watching that show, Ashley going and trying to get trouble started with NECA, the newest wife to join the cast, who actually is a wife, but she's also Nigerian, which is strange for Ashley to start trouble between NECA and Wendy. So I did interview NECA here. If you watch the channel, hopefully you're subscribed, you can go back and watch that interview. NECA actually, she did say she saw that Ashley was being messy, but she also felt like the issues with her and Wendy are really just between them, because they have a lot of issues. There's a lot of like history to that, which is sad because it just doesn't make sense for two accomplished, badass Nigerian women to come on a show and be at odds. Like, it just feels very stereotypical. It feels like the stereotype of, this anyway. I don't like it. I don't like it. If anything, the Nigerian sisters should band together against the other women on the show, but they fell for the trick, and so they're competing, and it is what it is. But Ashley, it didn't give Ashley any relevance, and I am not sure what she's going to do with her storyline. Her getting befriending Giselle and trying to go at Robin. It's not landing on anything. So I need Ashley either to go back and get some issue with Michael or find a new love. Girl, you got to do something besides show off the girls, okay? Secondly, we have some more issues in Potomac because Giselle and Robin, their friendship. Now, this is the Green-Eyed Bandit, the Green-Eyed Bandits, right? The Green-Eyed Bandit duo, Giselle and Robin. Giselle and Robin's friendship has been the ally that was unpenetratable. Robin's toxic relationship with Juan could threaten the duo. Now, I want to say I like Giselle and Robin, if only because they're friends. I do believe their friendship is based on the fact that they both are fair skinned and have green eyes, which is, I mean, hey, friendships are birthed in all different places. So kudos to them for, banding together and trying to be that light skinned, duo, green eyed bandit. But they've always had each other's back, even against other fair adjacent women like Karen. They all basically Robin always has Giselle's back because Giselle has always been the problem, right? Giselle is the one that'll say something. She's not violent, but she has a very slick mouth and she has a very condescending way of doing things. So Robin always has Giselle's back. Now, recently we see everybody is upset with Robin because she hid the fact that her and her husband were having problems. Were we really surprised? I think from the beginning of Real Housewives of Potomac, people have realized, people that really watch the show, it's very clear that Robin and Juan's relationship was toxic. When we first met them, they were separated but living together because he had an affair, right? So they got probably multiple affairs, but finally that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. So they're living together with their boys. Not a way to heal. There's no way you can heal and move on when you are living in the house with your ex-husband and you're not dating. And he's not being respectful. Like Juan has said everything from he wasn't attracted to Robin to that she seemed lazy. He's always very anti doing things with the rest of the cast or the other ladies. It's just a lot with Juan, and it always has been. So finally, Robin, they stay on the show. Robin gets her business up, and she somehow gets him to agree to get married. Now, I'm not saying that. I am saying that she twists his arm and gets him to finally change his mind. I'm going to say it because there's no way that this new marriage and this whole reboot of their relationship was Juan's idea. We don't see Juan ever giving her any energy that that's what he wants. What I do think is that Juan likes to check. He probably likes staying reality TV adjacent. And so he wants to stay in that situation. But him being out with other women and being photographed, Karen coming back and saying that there was a woman that Juan was out with that looked like a younger version of her. Child, I mean, so anyway, the women are upset with Robin, which it's kind of like victim blaming, but okay. Robin does, do a lot to other women, especially when she's agreeing with Giselle. She did that whole thing of not really holding Giselle accountable for lying on Chris, Candace's husband, and Giselle basically said I don't know if you guys watch the show, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Giselle acted like Candace's husband made her feel uncomfortable because he was talking to her in a hotel room. It's foolish. But in any case, they have always had each other's back. Surprisingly now, Giselle is coming to Robin and saying, girl, Juan is being disrespectful. Stop letting him do you like this. Robin is digging her heels in and saying, and having Juan's back. She does not want her family to be separated. And she is willing to defend Juan by any means necessary, even if it means breaking up the green-eyed duo. So I am suggesting this season, we're probably going to see some issues with Robin and Giselle. Their friendship has been penetrated, not by any of the other ladies, but by Juan, because Giselle is saying that Juan has been not only disrespectful to Robin, which we all know, we don't have to talk about that. That's not even something that we need to debate. But Giselle suggested that when she had a conversation with him, he was being a little bit forceful in his tone. Giselle seems like she cries wolf all the time when it comes to everybody else's man. And by the way, Giselle needs to find business herself. Like, she has no storyline either. Your daughter going to college, ma'am, is not a storyline, because we've known these little girls were going on. They've been growing up before our eyes. She's dating this young guy from another Bravo reality show that is like not much older than her daughters. It doesn't feel real. I don't believe it. Giselle needs a rich older man who has a lot of money and is willing to let her, just be pretty all day. Like, that's what we need. This young, muscled guy that she's claiming is a boy toy. Girl, we don't believe that. We know that you are into the finances and the status. So just go do what you want to do and get that. And I don't know if that is not really attracted to reality shows, because a lot of those guys that are powerful and very affluent do not want to come on reality TV for the obvious reasons. They don't want their businesses affected, and they just don't want to be clowned in the blogs. Like, they don't want to be a part of this conversation, which I totally get. But nothing else is going to work for our good sis Giselle. She needs money, power, and status to go along with them green eyes, girl. So I just need her to go ahead and do that and stop trying to trick us with this foolish young boy toy that's in there making salmon for you. Girl, you don't want that. That is not going to be what you need. Plus, Karen's going to give you hell for it anyway. You need to go get you an older, nice looking gentleman that's got some coins and got some status. And again, he can just let you be the first lady again. That worked well. It wasn't working with your ex Jamal. We know that Jamal don't want to go back down there. Jamal is having too much fun being a bachelor here in Atlanta. So anyway, that's my take on Real Housewives of Potomac. We have Giselle and Robin, that friendship being penetrated, which is going to be interesting because Giselle doesn't have really a lot of friends on the show. So without Robin to have her back, what is that going to do for Giselle? She's going to have to befriend somebody else really quickly. Ashley's not a strong enough ally because Ashley waffles back and forth like the wind blows. And trust me, Karen's always going to be coming for Giselle. So she needs to figure that out quickly. Poor Robin. I don't know what to tell Robin. She's not going to leave her husband. She is of that old mindset that my family is my family. And at this point, it's probably more for the look and not trying to admit to everyone else that she was wrong. At this point, after being on the show for so long, Robin should have cut him off back when they first were divorced, living together, kick him out, and get yourself together. She is a beautiful woman, and she could have had another amazing guy by now. You done wasted all this time with this foolishness, and now Juan has done been fired. He is trying to find a job. He's cheating on you. He got you out here looking crazy. That's a lesson, ladies. Take that time instead of being holding on to something that's familiar. Move on and do your healing. And by this time, she would have been totally over it. But now we're going to have to watch her do it, and the years keep ticking by. Anyway, all right, let's segue out of Potomac because there are things happening also on Married to Medicine. Now, Potomac was my favorite in the Real Housewives franchise, but Married to Medicine came in this season and it is crazy. I don't think I've ever even done recaps or anything like that on Married to Medicine. But this season, with the addition of Sweet Tea and Dr. Heavenly, who is hilarious. I mean, she is a force to be reckoned with. I did an article, which I actually should have posted in here. I did an article saying that Dr. Heavenly was the new version of Nene. People went bananas because they're like, oh, nobody can replace Nene. Au contraire. I think Dr. Heavenly, with a little bit more plastic surgery or some plastic surgery and a wardrobe change, I think she could absolutely give Nene a run for her money. The reason that people love Nene is because she is not afraid to be mean. She is not afraid to be a bully. And yeah, I think that's it. And then she kept trying to level up as far as getting more plastic surgery and, showing how much she changed. I think with Dr. Heavenly actually has substance, right? So she doesn't have to do some of those things that Nene did because Nene didn't really have anything else grounding her besides her ex-husband, her husband who passed away. But Nene didn't have like a career. Dr. Heavenly is a whole dentist, but she has the honesty and the raw, brutal honesty of Nene, and she's not afraid to hurt anyone's feelings, as we see this season. So my my article on Collider was this: Married to Medicine's Dr. Heavenly Kimes is the wedding guest no bride should entertain. Dr. G's new bride, Sweet Tea, showed guts when she rescinded Dr. Heavenly's invite to her wedding. Child, I don't know if you guys have seen Married to Medicine these episodes, but Dr. Heavenly has been cutting a fool. And I did think that Sweet Tea, or Letitia is her name, but she actually said that her nickname of Sweet Tea was given to her in college, and she's okay with that name. Because I didn't want to call her Sweet Tea if that's not what she's comfortable with. But in my interview with her, she said she's definitely comfortable with it. So anyway, Sweet Tea is married to Quad's ex, Dr. G. This is a whole situation. So you guys come in a little closer so we can talk about this, because this actually is one of my favorite shows this season because of this foolishness. So Sweet Tea is in her early 30s, right? She sees this man who is a thriving psychiatrist in Atlanta. She's in Texas, right? And she decides that's what she wants. Now, she tells me that she is, and she said it on the show, that she's a member of this support group for younger women that are with older, affluent gentlemen. Yes, it sounds like sugar babies. Yes, it sounds like sugar daddies, but that's not the name of her group, right? It's the behavior, but not the name. So she sends him a DM, and in the DM, there's an emoji of a baby and an emoji of a heart, and she says that she can give him what he needs. Now, if anybody thought it was that easy to get a psychiatrist in Atlanta, that is crazy. That is crazy, but that was enough. It was enough to get Dr. G's attention. He flies her out here, and the next thing you know, he is smitten with her beauty and her willingness to cater to him, and he is proposing, and now she is a whole reality star. Now, the rest of the cast have a relationship with Quad, and Loyalty, you are already ahead. You've jumped ahead, but I'm coming right there. So Quad and Dr. G have been divorced for quite a few seasons. I don't really think Quad has been relevant to the show anyway, because she's not really friends with those ladies, and she's not married to a doctor. So at this point, Miss Quad, what are we doing? What are we doing with Miss Quad? Why is she still here? She wears a lot of makeup and she does all the fancy things that women that have money in Atlanta do, but there are a lot of women out there like that. I just don't think that she's relevant to the show. So now they bring in Dr. G's new younger wife, who isn't quite as polished, right, as the rest of the ladies, because she's in her early 30s, and she's, she used to be in the military. She does a lot. She told me she used to wrestle. Again, if you didn't see that interview, you can go back to the channel. I have an interview on here with Sweet Tea. But she's definitely a personality and a breath of fresh air, because she's just different than the doctors that are, very established, like Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone and, the other ladies. Now, Dr. Heavenly is a wild card, because even though Dr. Heavenly is a dentist, she has the mouth of a basketball wife or a person on Bad Girls Club. So I thought that Sweet Tea was going to be a little intimidated by the rawness of Dr. Heavenly. To my abundant surprise, she is not. She is absolutely not. In fact, Sweet Tea went back and was like, oh, okay, well, Dr. Heavenly is talking bad about me at my bachelorette party, the bachelorette party that they brought Phaedra Parks to, Phaedra Parks brought Quad to, which was just really hateful. Like, who does that? Who does that on reality TV to try? That was just a very hateful thing to do. But again, now we have Phaedra Parks on Married to Medicine, because we know she can't go back to Housewives because of what she did to Kandi Burruss. So Phaedra shows up in fabulous form, and this makes Quad even less necessary to Married to Medicine, because now we have a woman who is fabulous, who is not married to a doctor, who is just there to start trouble. Quad is irrelevant at this point. So Dr. Heavenly attempts to come to Sweet Tea's wedding, and Sweet Tea has removed her and her husband Damon from the wedding invite list. Now, I thought that was huge. First of all, I thought it was an accident because I was like, I don't think Sweet Tea has the nerve to do that. But oh, not only did she have the nerve, but she also had the gumption to do it. And she was fine. She was like, no, she doesn't need to be there. Now, Dr. Heavenly scurried her way in there some kind of way, which is interesting. She was not going to be left out. And then she went up to her on the dance floor and, basically confronted her about it. And Sweet Tea held her own and said that she definitely did not, want her there because she was talking bad about her. Dr. Heavenly never took accountability for talking bad about her and just said, oh, I love you. But she knows good and damn well. She talked about that woman. She said that she didn't think the marriage was going to last. And all jokes aside, I'm with Sweet Tea in that. Like when I got married, I had a very small number of people there because I only wanted people there that really wished me well. I didn't want people there. And I probably had a few that probably like got in and shouldn't have been there. That probably got under the radar. And I just didn't keep them out. But at the end of the day, like you don't want people at your wedding when you're, well, they weren't in a church, but you're up there in front of a pastor, you're supposed to be getting married in front of God and people that really are there to support. And then you have someone there that's saying that your marriage is not going to last. I'm with Sweet Tea. I would have uninvited Dr. Heavenly as well. I would have uninvited Phaedra because how dare you bring his ex to my bachelorette party? Like, it's almost like you were trying to throw me off. And then what was wrong with Quad for actually showing up? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You guys, in the real world, these are things that would get you beat up, right? But in reality TV, you can't because you don't want to get kicked off the show. You don't want to get producers to file police reports. So people get away with stuff they would never get away with in real life. I wish somebody would have brought my husband's ex-wife to my bachelorette or bridal party. Child, are you serious? You and her got to go. And probably some of my girlfriends in here are going to try to beat both of y'all up. But I mean, anyway, it was ridiculous. And for no one to hold Phaedra accountable meant that I don't think any of them are real friends. They're definitely not real friends of Sweet Tea. They don't know her that well. But why would you even think that was cool for Quad to do? Dr. Jackie did, tell them that she did not agree. Dr. Jackie is always going to say what's right. And also Simone was just like, child. Now, Toya was the one who really stood up for it because she hates Quad. That was pretty much it. Toya doesn't like Quad. And so anything Quad does, she's going to be anti. So yeah, she did support Sweet Tea, but it really is because, she doesn't like Quad. So Sweet Tea marrying Quad's ex and bossing up on the show makes Toya happy. So it's not necessarily she's just such a good person. It's because this helps her because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Quad was trying to get paid for the 3 episodes in her contract. Probably because did you guys see that whole scene with Quad like in the bathtub with the roses? Child. Like she was so excited. And when Sweet Tea is out bridal shopping, we see Quad like leveling up and being happy in her singleness. I call BS. But anyway, the producers were there for it. So whatever. I think that Quad does not fit with the ladies in Married to Medicine anymore. Phaedra has definitely come in, swooped in and made any relevance of Quad totally. It has evaporated at this point. To me, Quad would fit better over on like Housewives or something because she obviously is out here in these Atlanta streets trying to find a wealthy gentleman. We don't know if she's going to get a doctor or what, but she's not. Just don't fit her vibe. She likes being fabulous and over the top, and she would be good over there with those ladies of Housewives. I don't think that she fits with Married to Medicine anymore. It's an overflow. We can only have one overly fabulous woman who's not affiliated at all with doctors or a hospital. We're not paging Quad and Phaedra. We cannot page both. So Phaedra has come in guns blazing, ready to do anything and everything to be relevant to the show and to start trouble. So we're going to give the Married to Medicine seat to her. And then Quad can, hopefully find her reality feat someplace else, Okay. So these shows have been the article that I did on Quad is so hilarious. So hold on, let me see if I can find that one because I really want you guys to see. They attempted to resurrect Quad on one of these last episodes, and it was absolutely foolish. It was absolutely foolish. Phaedra actually faked this whole ceremony, right? I have to pull that one up because it just doesn't make sense. Phaedra pulled this. She took us to Willie Watkins' funeral home, and we know that yeah, Phaedra is connected with the funeral home. I think she's a funeral director. She went to school to do something that kept her connected to funerals and able to make money from people doing that. And so they do this event at Willie Watkins' funeral home, which was beyond tasteless. I mean, it was probably one of the least tasteful things I've seen done on television. Hold on. I want you guys to see this because it's absolutely ridiculous. So Quad, let's see here. Let me pull this up. I've got to pull this. Guys. And I thought I had pulled it, but it's just so ridiculous that we have to talk about it. We absolutely have to talk about it. All right. Well, I can't pull the visual up right now, but it won't let me pull the visual up. But guys, so anyway, I'm going to read a part of the article because it's so ridiculous. Basically, it says Quad Webb's relevance is dead and can't be resurrected on Married to Medicine. Entered by introducing Phaedra Parks and Sweet Tea to the Married to Medicine cast, Quad's role is no longer relevant. And basically, it talks about this event that Phaedra put on where everyone had to come dressed in black. Girl, yes. Everybody came dressed in black. They come to this funeral home that, does not necessarily look like it has the most updated equipment. And they're all dressed for death. And then this white and gold casket is rolled out. And Quad comes up. It's opened by all these young pallbearers. And then Quad sits up in a white jumpsuit. It is absolutely ridiculous. And so the funniest thing in that episode is Dr. Heavenly's commentary, right? She's just like, this just rolled this. Is she coming back from the dead? What is going on? So Quad comes up and she, yes, I am here. And and I'm not gonna lie, Phaedra can pull that off because she is willing to go above and beyond, even when she knows something is ridiculous. Like she knew her sitting up in there with that veil, that black veil over her head, giving us this fake sermon. It was foolish, but Quad can't really pull it off. So she comes up and she's, yes, I'm here and I am risen and I am a phoenix. And all the other ladies are just sitting there like, what does production have us here for? So Dr. Heavenly, if you have a chance to go back and watch that episode again, Dr. Heavenly's commentary is what every viewer is saying. Quad attempts to tell the other women that she wants to see what issues they have so that she can fix those issues in the way that she's trying to resurrect herself. It just falls flat. Funny thing is, Mariah is like, no, I'm not with that. You called me and my husband liars and thieves, and I'm good on that. And Quad's like, okay, well, moving on. It's just they try to be so. That's my issue with the Atlanta shows. I love, like you guys know, I used to teach a charm and etiquette class. I love a good Southern belle. But these women are not the example of what a Southern belle is. A Southern belle is not loud. She's not ostentatious. She's not forward. She's very sophisticated. She allows her presence to, speak for itself without her mouth, and she's not vulgar. Like, it's just weird that these women are trying to emulate what they think a Southern belle is, but that's not what it is. She's not overtly sexual. So, it's just all wrong. Like, to me, the perfect example of a Southern belle would be like a Dr. Jackie, even Karen Hoover to an extent. They know how to be there and be very reserved and very, I'm going to make sure you know who I am, but I don't have to tell you because what's understood doesn't need to be said. As opposed to coming in an over-the-top Marilyn Monroe wig with your titties out. There's nothing Southern belle about that. It just irritates me. But in any case, back to this ridiculous resurrections, ceremony that Quad and Phaedra put together, it absolutely fell flat. The audience didn't like it. What's up, Scorpio Mo? The audience didn't like it. It was ridiculous. And it further proved that Quad has no purpose on the show. With Dr. G's new wife being on the show, Sweet Tea, there's no need. That's his new bride. He's now back as a main cast member. And then if Quad wanted to stay on, they should have kept Phaedra off. But with Phaedra on, and sporting her goods and doing her messiness, there's just no room. There's no room. So in any case, that's my recap of where we are with Married to Medicine. I now have to get into what used to be my favorite reality romance show, which is Married at First Sight. This season has been the worst yet. And I've had an article that came out basically that said, let's see here. All right. Married at First Sight, Denver is the show's most irresponsible season yet. And I stand on that. I said what I said. This season is horrible. Now, it's not hard to prove, because before we even got to the Married at First Sight, we met these singles, we see the marriage, we are going through that, and there's a bride that at the point she comes out and sees the man that she's supposed to marry, she hightails it. I can't do this, breaks out in tears and bails. Her family is there. His family is there. He's standing at the altar by himself, embarrassed. It is disgusting. And there's nothing that you can tell me that can make me believe that the experts did their due diligence in explaining to these singles, these potential brides and bridegrooms, that this is what can potentially happen. Obviously, there's the potential that you may not be physically attracted to your spouse, right? Because you're getting married at first sight. There's also the possibility that you may not, immediately have a connection, a personality connection, because you're getting married at first sight. If they prepared these singles correctly, there's no way you're going to have a runaway bride. If we're like at season 17 or 18, people have seen this show. Why are people signing up and then becoming overwhelmed with the fact that they're not attracted to the person that they're with? It's ridiculous. So anyway, one bride bails before the wedding is even. So because they've come on the show to have, to get married, I'm assuming that they have to do all that stuff. The marriage license and all that has to be done prior. So one divorce before we're even into the season, right? Then we have several other situations that are problematic. The biggest one, of course, everybody that watches the show knows, is Lauren and Orion, which is strange because it really did seem they probably were the couple that had the most fireworks initially. Lauren is African-American and self-proclaimed queer, right? She says that she is sexually fluid. And interestingly enough, Orion has said that he explored his sexuality and he had gone on a date with a man. And because the guy kissed him and he didn't feel fireworks, he felt like maybe he was not gay. I don't know about that. That made me a little concerned when I heard that during his narrative. In the beginning, I thought, well, he may not be finished with that exploration, which would make me a little bit concerned about, is he sure that this is the road that he wants to go on, as far as like getting married to a woman? Getting married is a big thing. Like, if you're questioning your sexuality, why are you getting married? But it seemed like they were attracted to each other. Orion is Native American, very, very proud of his culture. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, Lauren was a sister, very, very proud of that. They came together and both of them were open to dating someone outside their race. Now, things took a horrible turn when they went on the honeymoon. Now, again, we have one couple that has not even made it down the aisle. The next couple ends up going at each other on the honeymoon. So this article I did, Married at First Sight, Orion and Lauren may not survive their cultural differences. Orion and Lauren hit a snag on the honeymoon when a racial epithet caused tension in the relationship. Now, this is what's crazy to me about this entire thing. They were having a conversation about racial differences, which I think is very normal for someone that both of them are minorities and they're in Denver. My mother lives in Denver, so I'm very familiar with how um, racial Denver is. It's still someplace that, minorities are extremely few and far between, right? Um, so I didn't think it was weird to see them having a conversation about being, their experiences as a minority. Now, the beginning of that conversation, Orion admits that at one time he used the N word. Now, most Black people would have at least delved into that a little bit deeper. Lauren was like, he was like, it was when I was young. I was, stupid. I shouldn't have done that. Now I understand how hurtful that word is. Lauren did kind of explain a little bit about why the word is hurtful. She didn't go into in extreme detail, and they moved on. Right now, they come to conversation about that Orion's having that he too has dealt with a lot of racial racist remarks and things like that. And it's been very hurtful to his community as well. And he mentions a term, and I'm not going to say the term because I don't want to get banned on here, but he mentions a term, and Lauren says, I've never said that, right? So it's a term that is describing the color of his skin. So she said, I never have used that. And then she said, I don't even understand what that means. And then she looked at him and she was like, oh my God, I get it. Look at your skin. His face turned bright red and his whole body shifted. So she started laughing and she said, look at your skin. And it was obvious in that moment that she was not trying to belittle him, but she was really coming to a realization of what that slur, where that slur came from, right? Orion goes bananas. Like, you can see his physical presence. He puffs up. He becomes very disconnected from her, and he gets very upset. He asked to take a break. Orion, I'm so sorry. Toya says, and you're right. I have heard it called Orion. His name is pronounced Orion. I apologize. So Orion gets really upset physically, and then he says that he needs a minute. They kind of have a minute, come back. Lauren is very apologetic, but it's falling on deaf ears. It does not. He's not trying to hear it. They try to have another conversation. That conversation gets even worse. Basically, he says that, he feels like she insulted him and his entire culture, and he's not able to get over it. Now, the problem I have with that is the fact that he was able to sit there next to her and say that he had used the N-word before. He had no problem saying he used the N-word, but because she said, oh, I understand where that term come from, looking at the color of your skin, it's just like she said she was going to hurt his mom or something. It was crazy. And I'm not being insensitive to racial remarks, because minorities, we understand, the pain that comes behind a lot of stereotypes and racial slurs. But what I am saying is, if I admitted to someone that I had used a racial slur, and then they in turn said, well, I too have done that, or, oh, wow, I didn't understand that, I would have grace towards them because I just acknowledged to them that I did that, right? But he became enraged, and they go back, basically for the rest of the honeymoon, they're not able to make it work. And that article that I wrote was after that first discussion, because I was like, this is not going to work, because he feels so offended that it's causing him to not want to feel connected to her anymore. Married at first sight, you're connecting with someone, you're trying to connect with someone that you just met. So if something happens that really turns that connection off, it can be really detrimental to the rest of the experiment. And I just had a sneaky suspicion that that's what was going to happen. And sure enough, they get back and, well, before they even got back, they had a conversation with Pastor Cal in his car. And Pastor Cal tried to deflate the situation and basically get both of them to think about it differently. He tried to diffuse the situation. It did not work. Lauren starts crying because I think she can see that Orion has definitely totally disconnected from her. And it seems like he's disgusted with her. He's not able to talk to her. he's not responding to her at all, except wanting to not be around her, after this statement. They get back, and I feel like the experts dropped the ball, because not only do you have a couple that's in crisis, but you also have a subject matter that could be very hurtful, potentially could really affect people that are watching the show. So I feel like more should have been done immediately by the experts to kind of right this issue, because at the point that they get back and Orion and Lauren sit down with Dr. Pia, things have went even further, and Orion has decided that he wants a divorce. So we are a week and a half into the Denver season, and we already have 2 divorces. Not only that, to add insult to injury, obviously Orion wants a divorce. Lauren has no choice but to accept. Dr. Pia tried to get her to refute it, which I thought was almost, I feel like the experts put people in situations to make their trauma even worse, because if you are telling her that she should speak up and try to fight for a marriage with someone that has said he does not want to be with her, that is traumatic. We've seen them do that with Chris and Paige. It just keeps happening. Each season, they try to make people who are rejected be the guinea pig to go back in and try to change the other person's mind. And it's not, it just ends up with leaving them with more emotional scars. We also have another couple. This season has gone bad. So out of 5, we've taken off 2. So we have 3 left. Emily and Brennan seemed like everything was going great on the honeymoon. And we get back from the honeymoon, and Brennan says that being around Emily has drained him, and he does not want to move into the house, doesn't really want to move into their apartment together. That causes her to eventually have a conversation. They have a conversation with Dr. Pepper. Turns out that Brennan is not attracted to Emily. Now, every year, every season, I say this. If a man is not attracted to the woman, it's not going to work. Women, attraction can be built upon if a man makes her feel safe, if he makes her feel cherished, feel protected. If a man is not attracted to the woman, it will not work. And the longer the experts try to draw it out, the worse, because it's just going to make the woman have more and more scars, because that man is not going to be able to reverse his thinking. And he has been very clear. He didn't want to say what he wasn't attracted to because he didn't want to hurt her feelings, but he doesn't want to move in with her, and he is not attracted to her. So I don't know what they're going to do with this couple, but to me, it's already a wrap. Toya is right. I did forget to mention that Orion was disgusted when Lauren admitted to him that she'd had sex 2 months prior to coming to being married. I think it really was because he was already disgusted with her after she made the statement, and he wasn't really into her. I also think that Orion has a lot of issues with his own sexuality, because he said at the point that he found out, or that he decided to do the show, he had been celibate because he did not, he wanted to make sure that he was committed to the process. He did a lot of double talking, because she said, well, are you saying that I wasn't committed to the process because I had sex 2 months prior? And he said, no, I'm not saying that. But that's exactly what he was saying. So I think that that Lauren is not his type. Number one, I think that, because I just can't imagine you not being able to show grace to that type of statement. Yes, it could hurt your feelings, but there's no way that it would be that bad, especially while you're tripping. He could have got really, really like a lot of negative feedback from admitting that you as a Native American was using the N-word. Like, nobody even held him accountable for that. And she could have dug in deeper on him, but she didn't. And so I think that hearing her say that she was, that she had been sexually intimate with someone 2 months prior. He is aware of the fact that she's bisexual or queer. I don't understand the difference between those two. But if anyone wants to explain to me, you can, but please don't think that I'm trying to be disrespectful, because I'm not. I just don't know what the difference is. But I think that he's not really comfortable with who he is, and I think that's all coming out. He said that we heard him say that, he, on the after party with Keisha Knight pulling him, he said he wished that he had, thought about it and not gotten so angry. But at the end of the day, he said, no, he doesn't have any regrets. So that means that he just Lauren was not the person for him. I do think that he probably needs to do a little bit more exploration with his sexual identity. But in any case, that marriage is over. I think Brennan and Emily are headed for divorce. They may wait till decision day, but I don't ever see that reversing itself when a man is not attracted to the woman. There is still, even out of the other two couples, Claire and Cameron. Cameron is from Australia and very much a freestyle. Claire is, from Denver and very, very conservative. I don't see them working. Their best time was when Cameron left because he had an ear infection. Claire also didn't seem really concerned about that. Like, to me, if you're on your honeymoon and your husband, has an ear infection and he's in pain, she said she had something to do for work, and she couldn't go with him to the hospital, but she also didn't really seem that concerned about him. But anyway, he left and he came back. He came back with flowers, and that was probably the time that they had the best interaction. She said, "Thank you so much," and it was just weird. Cameron's very disinterested. Like, he just doesn't seem very the type of person that's going to fight really hard or be very emotional. And she seems like she probably needs a lot of that because she's just very structured. So I don't see them working. And then Becca and Austin, the couple that was like all over each other and really, really, really attracted to each other and just like in their own little bubble, they came back and then acknowledged that they have a huge, there's a huge obstacle they would have to get over, which is religion. And in most cases, that may not seem huge because a lot of people feel like, okay, well, I can worship the way I worship and you can worship the way you worship. But Becca has like a traumatic experience with a Christian situation. She feels like, she said that she vocalized that she felt like Christians were damning her to hell. And Austin is a Christian, so that's a little bit more than just, okay, we have different views on religion. She feels like his religion is basically damning her. Like, that's a whole nother issue. So, and the fact that they didn't talk about it on the honeymoon because they didn't want to mess things up and they wanted their energy to stay great towards each other, and they came back and then this issue was, glaring them in the face. I also think that I hate to say this, but Becca has a physical handicap that puts her in a lot of pain a lot. And she mentioned before with other people that a lot of times that would affect her relationship because she's in pain and pain management. That's a lot for someone to deal with. I think that's a lot for someone to deal with on top of being married at first sight. So I really don't, I think they, probably had the best chance initially, but hearing these differences, I don't see it for them either. It's funny because I thought Emily was going to be the issue in the couple with Emily and Brennan, because Emily has never been in a relationship in her life. And I was like, ooh, this is a crazy first relationship to be in. But she actually is a lot more rational than Brennan. She's trying to talk things out. She's actually being a lot more mature. He's just not attracted to her. And without that, there's not a lot of room for them to grow, because I am 100% believer that men have to have a physical attraction or it's a wrap. So unfortunately, I don't see any of the couples making it this season. I don't even see, how usually they have decision day and then there may be one or two couples that make it and then the reunion comes back and then we see, okay, they didn't make it. I don't think anybody's going to make it past decision day. We're already 2 down and we're just back from the honeymoon. We're 2 down out of 5. And the others have huge issues. So I think that I wish that the experts on maps would be a lot more involved. I wish that they would do some counseling with the couples before they go on the honeymoon, or maybe even have them check in on the honeymoon. Because if you watch the show, you know that the honeymoon is where a lot of the issues arise, whether it's someone is neat and someone is not, or someone, wants children and someone is not. The whole attraction thing, all that comes out on the reunion. And because the experts are not there at all, they're doing, Orion called Pastor Cal and it was a FaceTime. and Pastor Kyle was moving around in his car. Like it's they basically just set these people up to fail by throwing them out on the week-long honeymoon with someone they don't know, that they may have huge things that are not in common, or huge conflicts they have to overcome, and it just is making people lose faith in the show. So that's my take on Married at First Sight right now. Child, Married to Medicine, Real Housewives of Potomac, also Basketball Wives, and the last but not least, I want to mention. Actually, I have to get this in because I think this show, Huntsville, there was a good, a couple of positive things that happened for Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I'm going to go through these quickly. First of all, kudos to Tiffany and Lewis, who decided to put their marriage first, and they left Love and Marriage Huntsville. Tiffany and Lewis Whitlow may save their marriage by leaving Love and Marriage Huntsville. After a tumultuous few years, Tiffany and Lewis Whitlow have decided to leave Love and Marriage Huntsville to save their marriage. Kudos to them. Everybody knows the brand of Love and Marriage Huntsville is divorce. I hate to say that, but it is. The brand of Love and Marriage Huntsville is divorce. Every couple that comes on there ends up in turmoil. The only one that hasn't as of yet is Stormy and Courtney. And I think they may be okay because they are each other's kind of like, they have a different type of relationship, but I really hope they don't stay on very long. But Lewis and Tiffany were never really connected with viewers. Tiffany was a shit starter, but I think she might have felt like she had to be that because she probably was trying to stake her claim on the show. She didn't really ever gel with the other ladies. I don't think there was ever real friendships or real connections. Lewis came in trying too hard. Marceau and them shut him down immediately. And I think people are definitely open to someone checking Marceau, but just not Lewis. Just the way they did it just seemed like, y'all don't even know what y'all are talking about. Y'all have barely been married. You're newlyweds. You both were married to someone else. Tiffany tried to call out Martell for being a cheater, and then he brought up the fact that she was a cheater too. It just has not boded well for them from the time they were introduced to to Love and Marriage Huntsville. I actually think that the scene with Tiffany acknowledging that she was struggling with postpartum depression and Lewis saying, you know what, the marriage is more important. I think that was the best scene they've ever done, probably made them the most likable. And I love the fact that they did decide to do that. Hopefully that's the truth and it's not something else. But I think putting your marriage first, specifically on a show that basically, has made a reputation out of destroying marriages, is admirable, right? And I'm not saying that the show destroys marriages, but the marriages on the show are very detrimental. And I know that it can influence you, right? So look at what happened with Melody and Martell. And that was totally Martell's issue, as far as the way he did it. Even if he and Melody did have, things they were doing, because no one's perfect in a marriage. You had a whole baby, sir. Move along. You had a whole baby while you were married. You got someone pregnant while you were married. You can't defend that. There's no defending in that. And that played out on national TV. That is humiliating. It's just ridiculous. And that played out for the audience. It worked to make the show very popular for OWN. And then we see Marceau and Letitia. I don't know what the hell is going on. People keep saying that Marceau is cheating. There's no real proof of that, or at least there's not been proof brought to the audience. But it's clear that marriage is in trouble. It's clear. Tisha taking a pregnancy test this year. It's just clear that marriage is not one that you want to model yourself after, right? Even Maurice and Kimmy, and I like them very much. I think they're probably one of the healthier marriages. But Maurice saying that he wants sex and all the time, Kimmy going through cancer, it just, child, no, that's not the show you want to be on unless your marriage is airtight. So kudos to them for actually putting their marriage first and leaving the show. Now, my last point for today is, interestingly enough, Melody had this name changing ceremony on this episode before last week, right? Melody Holt's name changing ceremony segues new tradition to replace divorce parties. Melody Rogers' name change ceremony, viewed on Love and Marriage Huntsville, is sure to become a pop culture tradition. I actually like that, right? I didn't think that I would. I thought it was Melody being super dramatic because she can be dramatic, right? We know that. Melody is a diva. She is the Beyonce of Huntsville. But I did think of the fact that, I see women have divorce parties. I don't know if men do, but I always thought a divorce party was kind of negative, right? Like you're celebrating. Thank God if you're out of a bad situation, but I don't know if people really want to celebrate a divorce. But the name changing ceremony, Melody actually sold me on it because she was Melody Rogers, and that was her family legacy. Then she became a Holt. We got to know her as Melody Holt. And Holt was not good for her. It was good because they had children, they have beautiful children, but Martell embarrassing her in front of a national audience is really not the type of thing that you want to walk with for the rest of your life. So I'm definitely, not against her saying I want to go back to Rogers. When I was married the first time, my last name was hyphenated. And I was going to keep my last name because my children had that last name. But then I thought about it and I was like, this person has disrespected me. They don't care about me. And they have, at some point they've, make moves to remarry. I'm not going to be walking around with that last name and somebody else walking around with that last name. You don't want me to have that last name, sir. So I went back to Jordan, right? And my children are not, and it's fine. It's fine because Jordan is what loved me. So I went back to my last name. And so I think that the way she did it, and I think women love getting dressed up and having a reason to be fancy and all that. But as I'm saying, a name changing ceremony to me is a more positive spin on going back to your maiden name than having a divorce party. So I kudos to Melody for doing that. I think it was a great way to embrace who she is and who she's going to remain until she gets married again and does take on that man's last name. But yeah, I think it will take on. I think that women having your family around you, your close family around you, and actually being very intentional about the fact that you are returning to your family and your family is welcoming you back. I think that's really cool. So kudos to Melody Rogers, especially because she became famous, or she became a reality star with the last name Holt. So I think she had to go and do a little something above and beyond. But any women out there that are looking to unfortunately go through divorce, which is very painful. I don't wish it on anybody. But if you do, instead of throwing a divorce party where you're celebrating the failure, the end of it, celebrate the beginning of you returning to your original name and embracing that in a positive way. I love it. I love taking a negative and flipping it to a positive. Making lemonade out of lemons is always the best way to go. So kudos to Melody Rogers on that whole thing. And I hope that whole little way will pick up. She should have trademarked that because I like it. I think that there would be women going all over trying to place parties for the girls, coming down the aisle in a dress, all that pomp and circumstance women love. And, it may make you feel more positive about the change and make you feel more confident about not having the same last name as your children. So kudos to Melanie once again on that. And we look forward to seeing more from Melody Rogers. It's going to be hard for people to stop calling her Melody Holt, but I think that was a great way to start that. So that is my pop culture power recap for this week. Please tune in next week. I know I haven't been super consistent with these, but they're going to be consistent because I enjoy writing for Collider and I love talking about reality TV. You guys know I talk about reality TV from a relationship perspective, and most of these reality shows have all types of relationships. You can learn the good, the bad, the ugly, and just a little something that we can gossip about every week. So make sure that you're tuned in. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to set time to do this show, but I wanted to come on today because I had to get you guys this tea with all these great shows. Let me know which show out of the ones I talked about today is your favorite. If you are a love and marriage Huntsville person, if you are a Real Housewives of Potomac, if you are into Basketball Wives, which I can't see anybody really being into that, but if you are, leave it below. If you are into Married at First Sight, leave that below. And what do we do? We did Love and Marriage Huntsville, Married at First Sight, Married to Medicine, or Real Housewives of Potomac. Let me know which one is your favorite below and what you had to say, what you thought about my commentary on all the shows. I love you guys for watching. Make sure that you're back here Monday at 8 We'll have another great interview coming. And then, of course, on Wednesday, Mo and I will do our midweek recap on Ready to Love, Make a Move. And Friday, we have a very cool show coming where we're going to do everybody come watching in your pajamas and your wine. And we're going to let some of the audience chime in during the broadcast. So it's going to be a really fun week. I love you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. This has been your girl, Christal Jordan, with an episode of Pop Culture Power. See you guys later. Bye.